Word on the street, word on the street. Talk politics, current events, relationships, movies and flicks. Word on the street, word on the street. Word on the street is we be staying on topic with sports news and the movies, anything that just happened. Special guests with that Drake Swift, Savage Kitty and Alex, aka the Sports Mouth. Storytelling what's happening. Chop it up with you Saturdays, no better way to start your day. Kick it with y'all on Mondays, in case y'all really got something to say. If not, we'll catch you on Wednesday. Put the spotlight up to your face. Yeah, you know how we get down. Tell them tune in or get out the way.
What up, though? It is Saturday the 19th. I don't know where he went. I see his image there. Here
Good
with
morning.
Kitty,
Morning.
Eddie, Smack, Michelle. We got to come up with a name for you.
Shelly
I like
Shell.
Shell.
And we're
He said, "What's wrong with Michelle? I like Michelle."
Right?
I like Michelle too, but they call me Shell. So,
yeah.
Shelly Shell, whatever. You can come up with something creative, I'm open.
Are you there, Gabe? I don't know if your camera went out.
Might have lost
Yeah, I thought I was. Damn. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I
We
can hear
can
you.
I hear you.
Yeah.
You just lost the picture. It's all good.
It said something weird about it.
Come out and then click back on the link. So you go out and then come back. Try that. All right.
We'll be
So
here waiting.
yeah, we'll be here waiting. We're just
We'll be here waiting.
We're not
Yeah,
going anywhere.
so it's Saturday. February's almost over. It's kind of crazy that February is almost over. I know we didn't. I know
Crazy.
Michelle, we didn't talk about it, and Eddie, we did talk about it because you weren't here on Wednesday. But how was you guys' Valentine's Day? Did you get a truckload of roses? Like
Kanye
Kim
didn't send me shit, man. I didn't get nothing from Kanye.
You angry about that? Kanye didn't send you shit, huh?
All that support. I was gonna give him my vote and get nothing.
So there you go, man. You're back.
There you are.
So Gabe, famous icon, legendary P-Funk drummer. We were just talking about Valentine's Day. Did you get a truck full of Valentine's roses from Kanye as well?
Nah.
Damn.
Did y'all lose me again?
Huh?
Yeah, we can hear you, but we can't see you. Your camera's out again.
Damn.
I don't know if calls or not, but while we got you on the show and we can hear you, happy belated birthday. He said he turned 25.
Yeah, for sure.
Legendary icon, drummer. So I don't know if you want to come back or or you want to stay on the show and just keep going. We can just see if something happens or it comes back on. Sometimes it's glitchy. I don't know if it's your phone, but if you get a phone call, usually that's what happens. It kind of your camera goes out and then you got to come back in. Are you still there, Gabe?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm
So I
trying
don't.
to figure it out.
Yeah, you're getting
Wait,
phone.
hold on. I think it's just something about some other apps might have been open, but I didn't have anything else open. It says I'm on now, but
So Michelle, did you get a truck full of, there you go.
are.
There you go.
Yeah. So you said you get a truck full of roses from Kanye. Happy belated birthday! Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us.
hey, thank you.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I'm just devoid of Kanye, but yeah.
Yes. Happy birthday month. Maybe he'll send them next year. It's okay. I
So-
didn't get them yet.
It's always next year.
He's kind of crazy. He really unique and
man.
crazy. So I don't know if I want to even accept anything from him because then he want to do some
Hide in the bush.
crazy stuff.
he want to be in the bush and dress up as Bush and
You know what I mean? I don't want them problems.
There you are. We see you.
So Gabe, like I said, welcome to the show. So you've been around so many different icons, from George Clinton to so many different guys. Have you ever met Kanye?
I think earlier on, like in the Chi-Town days, before he went
Crazy.
berserk, you know.
Yeah.
That's so funny. You know, we were talking about it on Wednesday. We said, you know, before his mom passed, he was kind of normal, and then all of a sudden, he kind of went off the deep end. So,
To be fair, that'll do it though. Probably.
yeah.
Well, yeah, he has
Like-
not been right since his mama passed.
Or like Rick James says, you know, cocaine. That's a crazy
Hell of
drug.
a
Hell of a
drug.
drug.
It's a hell of a drug.
That's a hell of a drug. So Gabe, like I said, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us, legendary icon drummer. So tell me who Gabe is. I know you. You know, we read a little bit. I read your bio. It said, you know, you were born in New York. What part of New York were you born in?
Manhattan. Now, you know, I said just like New York with no cheese, Manhattan.
Well, what made your parents go to Detroit? And it looks like you went to Mumford. So you grew up on the east side.
Shout
Tori,
out to Mumford High School. Shout out to Mumford.
Tori is from the east side.
Yeah. I actually grew up on the west side. And yeah, my parents separated right after I was born. I'm half Puerto Rican. My father's Puerto Rican. My mother's African American. So she came back to Detroit. You know, they was having some issues, and pretty much, you know, that's where I grew up, northwest side, right there. Living on the Lodge, which was by UOD. UOD, the college there. So
Yeah,
university.
UOD.
My father went to
Yeah.
I grew up on Livernois in Michigan. So
Oh yeah. You further down southwest. I know where you at, but yeah, that's where I grew up right there. My family actually owned an apartment building there, so we ended up living there, me and my mom, and you know, that's where it all started.
So, who introduced you to the drums? Did you take it up in high school? What actually made you pick up some sticks and it's like, you know what? Or did you hear a particular artist when you were growing up and you're like, man, that's what I want to do? When did that happen?
Well, it's deep. They said I was little. I was pulling out pots and pans and beating on them and stuff. So I kind of believe it, you know. And my mother at the time was dating the legendary jazz piano player Horace Silver. You know, he's like up there in the ranks with Miles Davis and all those type of people. And he bought me my first pair of drumsticks, and I do remember that from Grinnell's, which was a store on Livernois, out of Drive, music store back in the day. And I do remember that. And my aunt also was a drummer, and she used to take my mother with her when she was a little girl around to the jazz clubs. And my aunt could play. She was kind of like the Sheila E. of the 60s or something, we'll say. So she grew up in over her house. My aunt had a big house over in the Boston Edison area, you know. And I would go over there. They would, you know, she would babysit me. And then I remember one day she had some drums up in the attic, real drums. They bought me like a drum set, my first drum set for Christmas, my godparents. I think I tore that shit up in a day. It was demolished. So it was like, because, you know, it was little paper heads, so the drum heads weren't really real, and I was kind of probably aggressive. So yeah, they was done. So she ended up having some real drums, well, pieces of, and she gave them to me, and I kind of banged around on them a little bit. So that's kind of how that started, you know. And then later on, there was a guy in my neighborhood who he was playing the drums in his basement, and I could hear him, and I would go to the window and peek in and look down and, you know, see him playing in the basement, and I was like blown away, like, damn, you know. And somehow I saw him outside one day, watched his car, and I got the courage to be like, yeah, man, you play the drums, I hear you. And, I play the drums too, even though I really couldn't. I lied and told him I could. I figured he might let me see his drum set, right? And it worked. He actually, let me come in, and I was just blown away. It was like, that moment when Dave Chappelle was in Half Baked, and they opened the vault, and all the weed and shit was like, oh! And I mean, he had the top of the line drum set, and god damn, it was just, I still remember it. So, I'm checking him out, and then he does the unthinkable. It's like, oh, you don't get on the drum set and play. Now at this point, I'm like, oh shit. I froze up because I was like, man, I got on his drums. It sounded crazy. I was just scared to touch anything. And then he kind of like eased me into it. It's like, oh man, do this and do this. And then it kind of started from there a little bit. And then there's another famous band in Detroit called the ADC Band. They had a national, they had a record deal with a national label, Cotillion. And they stayed kind of a little further over in the hood. And a friend of mine down the street used to ride a unicycle. And at that time, people was, putting different stage, acts.
Theatrical stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like, my boy rode a unicycle. So he's like, yeah, man, I'm going over to ADC Band's house do something. I'm like, oh man, I want to ride, So I'm like, I couldn't have been more than about 9 or 10 years old. So I rode with him over there on my bike, and they had a song out back then, which was it was a hit on the radio called "In the Moonlight." So I remember, us hanging out, and the next thing I know, I'm in the basement hanging with these guys and watching them rehearse and stuff, and I ended up getting in trouble. I was smoking weed. They're like, oh man, you got to go back outside, kid, because they wanted to smoke their joints and shit. So I'm like, well, they let me come back in. When I went back outside, I ended up getting cool with the leader of the band and the female vocalist, her son. So we was about the same age. So we used to ride our bikes around and go to Marygrove College on 6 Mile and fuck with the security guards and cause problems, and they shoot at us with the salt gun. Shit. So I was all business some shit in the hood. That's why I like especially over there. So we come back, and then when they leave, me and the son, he could play drums a little bit. He was probably like a year younger than me. So when you that age, like 9 and 10, he's playing the drums. And I'm thinking, well, shit, I'm a year older than him. If he could do that, I know I could do that. So it was just like, I got on there and I started watching them, and somehow I developed this technique, and I started playing, and it was it was good. I ended up jamming with them in the band, and it's deep to this day. I'm still friends with them. Actually, he's gonna be on my radio show later this week, but we'll get into that later. But yeah, I'm so thankful for him. Mike Moneystone, he's out there in Vegas. And if it wasn't for, things like that, I guess it inspired me to really want to, do that. And then from there, I was just practice the records in my bedroom and perfect my timing, because that's important for a lot of drummers. They don't realize timing is everything. You can do all the flashy shit and all this other stuff, but if you ain't keeping time, that's really the job of a drummer in any band, to keep the fucking time to make people dance. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I started, and I was about 10, and from there, just I had a couple little bands in high school and stuff like that.
Well, first of all, someone posted unicycle, and you said it. I would fall the fuck on my face on a unicycle. Just
hey, you want to know? I tried once or twice, and it's just you gotta have serious balance to fuck with that, And
for real. I can barely walk. I can barely walk up steps.
Yeah, but anyway, but that kind of got me started,
So you're a teenager in high school. You graduate from Mumford High. So what comes first? I know in your bio it says that you got offered to be a drummer in Red Hot Chili Peppers, or did you meet George Clinton first? So how did the story go?
Well, I'll break it down for you. Around that same time of the story I'm telling you about playing the drums and being 10. So it was 1980. I was about 10. So I go to my first P-Funk concert. All right, this is gonna be good. Y'all ready for this? So I go to my first
I'm in
concert.
it.
See it. And my father at the time, he was like my stepdad, the father that raised me. And he was, a deep hood guy. Kind of remind me of Superfly a little bit, like Ron O'Neal. And he knew George Clinton. And the only reason I found out that because when I was 5 years old in kindergarten, I got in trouble in kindergarten, if you can believe that, before I even started grade school. It was a show and tell. I brought my little Mickey Mouse record player one day, and I attempted to play Funkadelic for the class. Right? And it was the first album. The very first album they put out in Detroit in 1970 with the crazy faces on psychedelic. And so I'm like, today class, I'm gonna play some music. I guess in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna hypnotize the class and walk out of here. At least that's what I had thought at my little devious mind at 5 years old. So I like put the record on the needle, and the first lyrics are, "If you will suck my soul, I will lick your funky emotions." Right? It didn't get to it was like, "If you will suck my," next thing you know, I was like, "What?" The nigga went on.
No, that's not Fisher Price.
Yo, I'm not lying. I was in the damn principal's office in kindergarten. I'm thinking, what the hell did I do? Right?
You're like, this is good music.
Look, I love that shit since when I was that young. He turned me on to it. My uncle was a hippie, so he turned me on to all kind of shit. But when he hit me with that was just like the ultimate. I was like, what? He was like, my uncle handed me the record and was like, here, check this out. They're from outer space. And when I put that shit on, he couldn't have been lying. I was like, gone. I was like, you didn't even have to be high and you listen to that shit. It was just, you know what I'm saying?
So, all those kids in that class went somewhere, though. They grew up to be like great people.
Right. So moving forward, so my mom was in school at the time. My mother was studying her master's degree at University of Detroit. And I went to the Catholic school across the street later, Jesu. But at that time, she was in school, and they had called her, and she told me that morning she caught me trying to sneak the record out the house, and she stopped me before I got in the school van before they picked me up, and was just like, "You can't take that record." She didn't like Funkadelic anyway. She hated that shit. So my little smart ass, before I even snuck it out the house, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go and get something else. I had this little Mary Poppins shitty bang bang bullshit that I never played, right? Mm-hmm. So I stuck the album in there in the album cover, right? And I'm like, all right, I got this one, all right, bye. So I run out the house because I'm already late because I had to go back. And when I got that album to school and they called her, you can imagine she wanted to kill me. So my father comes to get me, and they like literally sent me home. I'm like, God, it was that deep, right? They're like, if you listen to like this, there must be a problem at home. Because you gotta realize that Funkadelic was like gangster rap then. You couldn't, I'm telling you some real shit around your family, none of that, because it was, if you was into that, it was the avant-garde thing to be into, and that's a real story. So fast forward, my father brings me in the house and my grandmother's now. We in the bedroom. I'm scared. I'm thinking he's gonna whip me and shit, right? Because he never hit me before or nothing like that. So I'm nervous. And then he holds the record up and is reading it. And he's looking at the shit. He's like, Funkadelic. George Clinton. George Clinton. He said that about 3 times. George Clinton. He's like, son, he turns to me and says, you know what? I know this guy and I know these guys. You don't need to listen to this. This is bad. This guy, George Clinton, he jumps on tables with jock straps on. Now, I don't even know what the fuck a jock strap is, like, but whatever it was, I knew it was something lewd or something because the way he said it, he said he jumped on tables with jock straps on. Did you hear that part? Okay, so now he tells me, and I cut a moon and a star and a penis in his head. Now, my father was a barber, and like I said, he said exactly what you heard me say. He cut a moon, a star, and a penis in George Clinton's head.
Oh, hell.
This is the early 70s. You realize nobody had shit cut in their hair. We just had afros or you was bald, but nobody had shit cut in their hair. This is my, I'll send y'all a picture. It exists, and Jordan's wife always laughs because his wife is like, yeah, George always say, your dad is the first one to cut his process off. All this shit. So anyway, fast forward 5 years later, my mother ends up dying, so she died. So I didn't do the Kanye, but I was wild. So my mother passed. She had a brain aneurysm at 27 and just passed out, and she died. Yeah. Oh,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, you know, it's life. You know,
I know it's part of life, but still.
Yeah, because I had
that's a pivotal point in your life. That's a pivotal point in your life.
I was like 5 years old. So, I lived with my grandmother basically, and she was pretty open and cool. Awesome lady. I gotta give a shout out to my grandmother for real.
Yeah.
She, you know,
shout out to Granny for real. Shout out to Granny for real.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to off on that one because she had to play drums and make all this noise and music. You know what I'm saying? And,
she didn't beat. First of all, I got a question real quick before we get past this. Nobody whooped you at Jesu for playing that? Because I know about Jesu and they don't play over there. So you were real brave to bring that music over to that Catholic school.
No. This was kindergarten. I hadn't even made it.
Okay, I'm about to say, man, they don't play over there.
I can remember house nursery on 6 Mile. I wasn't in.
I'm saying those teachers fell out.
It was a couple nuns, and I was really bad because you know, my mom died, and I had a lot of anger issues and shit. And so I ended up getting kicked out of Jesu, and I had to go to military school. So you don't even. That's a whole other story. But so I went from military school for 3 years after that, which was a boarding school in Monroe, Michigan, and I could only come home on the weekend. So anyway, so my father ends up taking me to this Parliament concert, and my whole family had a meeting about it before we went. He took me over there. My aunts did not want me going, and it was just like I had already missed a couple before anyway, and I was like, oh my God, I thought I would die if I didn't make it. I was just like, this is fucked up because everybody was like, you too young to go. They're gonna be smoking weed and da 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 da. Now you know it's P-Funk, so they was really wild in Detroit because they had home base for them. They could do anything they wanted in Detroit. So anyway, long story short, I go to my first concert, Gloria Holly Stupid, and they landed an egg on stage, and it wasn't the mothership. So I was kind of disappointed. It was like the whole Mork and Mindy thing, you know, they landed a fucking egg on stage, right? So so, you know, now me being little, I'm like, hey Dad, you know, like the Mean Joe Green commercial back, and I'm like, you know, George Clinton, huh? You know, I want to meet him. So somehow we got down on the main floor, and Joe Louis. Now, mind you, this was they were the first Black group. I have to say that for Black History Month. This is some deep knowledge. They were the first Black band to play Joe Louis Arena, and when it opened, and this that night. So we're in there, and you know, my father gets me backstage, and we see George Clinton from about 10 feet away. We finally get back to his dressing room, and I'm just looking like, oh wow, I'm seeing just all this stuff, and I'm seeing different members in the band who I knew who they were from years of reading the liner notes and the album covers and stuff, you know. So we get backstage, and about a couple feet, George Clinton was waiting for my father, and then George's like, hey, that's the motherfucker who cut my hair. And I'm like, oh, man, he really freaked me out.
You're like, yes.
So he walks up on him. It was like, yeah, man, you know, they hug whatever. He said, this is my son. You know, he's a big fan of y'all. He reads all y'all's album covers, you know, all that shit. And George was shocked. He had this look on his face. And he was just like, who was that? He started pointing different members in the room out, right? And I was like, oh, that's so-and-so. That's you know, that's da-da-da-da. That's that person. I named everybody he pointed out. I never met him in my entire life. It floored him. He was just shocked, and he looked at one of the other main guys in P-Funk, Gabe Scheider, used to wear the diaper. And he was like, man, these kids, you see these album covers, man, they really was into this shit. So it blew him. So he signed an autograph for me. And, you know, I couldn't be more happy. I was so geeked. The downside of that story is I took it to military school, and one of the nuns tore it up. And I don't even want to tell you what I wanted to do to her. So that was that. And I ended up moving, you know, back to Detroit after military school closed, and then I got more into music. And I went to Presentation, which is another Catholic school on the west side, a little smaller than Jesu. And I got into music, and just everything was hitting me at the time. Puberty, because I was a teenager, just everything was just crazy. Everything. Video games. Yeah, so it just opened me up, and I started getting really heavy into music and playing, and I ended up going to Mumford eventually, and I was in the jazz band at Mumford, and from there, I used to work with the famous clothes designer in Detroit, Maurice Malone, who was famous for the hip hop shop and all that stuff. Proof and Eminem started, but anyway, we get to that. I used to work for Maurice Malone when I was in high school, helping him make his clothes and stuff through a friend of mine who, you know, introduced us. And through there, I met Amp Fiddler, who was responsible for taking Jay Dilla under his wing and putting him on. I was one of the first students at Amp's house, you know, skipping school in Mumford all night, being, you know, working with them. And I'm like, man, I'm trying to be here and learn this funk stuff. So at that time, he had just did a session for the Tracy Ullman show, because George Clinton did the music for that. And Boosie was there. I ended up going to the studio somehow one night at United Sound in Midtown, which is where they did all of their stuff. And I didn't forget you. I'm leading back to where I'm at. Trust me, I'm gonna take you on a journey. But
that's okay. I'm here for it. Like, we're riding along.
I'm loving it.
We're riding along.
The sound is where the Red Hot Chili Peppers recorded Freaky Styley, their second album, which George produced. Now, this was around that time. Pedro Bell, who did the album covers, I used to talk to Pedro Bell because he actually put his number on the back of one of the albums. And if he had enough balls to call it, it was really his number to his mother's house. Crazy.
Oh, damn.
For getting me in, because he started giving me other people's numbers in the band, like call this guy Clip Payne or whatever, and he lived near Amp, so it was weird because I don't think Amp was quite in P-Funk yet, but man, he did a couple shows. That's why they did Saturday Night Live, but they really wasn't doing a lot of shows. It was just sessions then. So, you know, I'll meet these other guys, and when they started telling me, and George was there one night, and I started telling him, man, I met you, like, you know, when I was, you know, a little kid, because this is 8 years later from that incident. And I'm telling him my dad used to cut, and he started talking about, like, oh, yeah. you know, he remembers stuff. He's 80 and he's got the sharpest memory that you wouldn't even believe. So when I talked to him the other night, he was so coherent. I was like, whoa. So anyway, that's how that happened. So I met George again at United Sound, and I was still in high school, so I would hang out with them, and I was learning how to, you know, I was just like the fly on the wall. I didn't talk a lot. They was like, you started asking, you don't talk, do you? I'm like, well, yeah, but I don't know what to say around y'all. Like, it's like y'all my idol, so
Right.
like, right, I was just quiet. I was just, and it kind of freaked them out after a while. So I started opening up, and you know, so fast forward, so I started going to some Red Hot Chili Pepper shows, you know, St. Andrews, which Maurice Malone took me to my first Red Hot Chili Pepper show, 1986 of December, and I still remember it. And shit floored me. I was just like, damn, you know, it was just like, what the fuck is this like? And the drummer, it was just like, oh my God, Jack Irons. And I was so into them, like, man, I knew all this shit. And
that was probably so live. They just St. Andrews Hall alone, and how, you know, how close it is, but just the vibe in there alone. When you go to a concert that's fucking lit, it's just like, it's electrifying. You're like, what the fuck is going on? This is amazing.
Right, and especially because, you know, that was the premiere spot, you know.
Yeah, that was where everybody went. Yeah.
And so anyway, they you know, got to know me, and I was good friends with them every time they came to town, and then I ended up meeting Fishbone as well. So I've been being good friends with them, all of those guys, and we'll hang out, you know, every time they came in, and but I get a call one day out the blue, and I got kicked out of Mumford too. So my band, we played a Parliament song at the talent show, Flashlight, right? And you know, if you don't know Flashlight, that's like a big party song. To this day, that shit, everybody would go nuts if they got it. So my band in high school played Flashlight, the talent show, and the kids were so crazy, they almost caused like a riot because they tried to kick us off the stage, and my band started fighting the people. I had like some crazy shit on the road. And,
what grade was this?
I'm not a millionaire.
Crypto is complicated. Tax expert with crypto experience.
Oh, what's going on?
With everybody, and then it was crazy, right? So I get caught.
You had the hair and everything.
Right. And so she's like, well, you suspended until I'm like, what? Till next year? I'm like, you know, I'm about to graduate. So it happened. They was like, no, you're going to start next year. You only got 4 classes. So they was going to start me a year later, and I only had a half a day basically every day. And I'm like, fuck that. So I just said, they kicked me out. I quit. So I ended up night school in Ferndale, and I got a diploma from night school. So really, a lot of people don't know that Ferndale High School is where I graduated
Shout
from.
out to Ferndale High.
Ferndale.
Night school though. So,
yeah. Hey, it's school.
During that course though, I get a call one day from somebody, and my grandmother's like, "Some guy wants to talk to you. I don't know. I can't." Something she couldn't figure, and it was Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, right? And he's like, "Hey man, I got your number from one of the P-Funk," and he was like, "I want you to come out and audition for the band." He said you would probably be a good choice for us, and I was like, "Man, this ain't no Flea." And I thought somebody was probably calling me. I had friends. So I was like, "Man, nah, fuck that." He was like, "No," you know. And eventually, I figured it was really Flea.
So
and
what year? I stopped you there. What year is this?
This had to be, I'm thinking, late '87.
So
or early.
There's no caller ID, right? So you're like, yeah, right. Who's playing right?
I mean, yeah, and they wasn't as famous as they are now, but still, to me, you know, I was like, I loved them, and if George was them, then you know, that's really, you know, they blew up. So, but they was more punk then. They wasn't like all that pop shit. They was more punk, and
they were raging then.
They were the skate band.
Yeah. So, we you know, my mother, I was like, I just got to call the audition. You know, and my grandmother's like, the who? I don't care who. Man, what a chicky peppers or whatever the fuck, you gonna finish high school. Right? I'm like, but mom, it's the Red Hot Chili Peppers. She's like, I don't give a damn. You gonna finish high school. So literally I couldn't go. I had to tell him, man, look, man, I can't do it, man. I'm sorry. But thanks for calling me in. Cause I didn't think, you know, but it fucked me up so bad that I ended up starting my own band like the Chili Peppers because I was so into them, you know, and I started my own band, Enemy Squad Detroit, and you know, we ended up being a pretty well-known band around town at the time. I remember we could draw like 750 to 900 people at St. Andrews, and we were headline. And we also opened for Rage Against the Machine when they first came to Detroit at St. Andrews. They kicked us off their show half an hour into it because we was kicking their ass. They really, but my guitar player was scratching and doing that shit on his guitar before Joe was, and I had a bass player. This motherfucker was doing no hand flips and still playing. And we was like, right? So, yeah, for real. And they kicked us off 30 minutes in. I'm just like, oh,
you were showing them up.
Well, you know, shit, it's our time.
It is what it is.
I didn't even know who they were yet. They wasn't known. The guy, the promoter at St. Andrews was like, hey, this band's coming in. He would let us open for a lot of the headliners because, you know, we was a popular local band. So, you know, that happened. And then I also got cool with the Bad Brains guys and ended up working with them. So, you know, so I was into the whole punk thing, you know, for real. So anyway, that's kind of how that started. And I got, you know, hooked up with them. And one time they ended up coming back in town around Thanksgiving. And I remember they didn't want to stay in the hotel. They had a layover and they were playing at the Grand Quarter on the Boulevard. Y'all remember that? And my band had a gig at Paychecks at Hamtramck, you know, a little dive. So they was at my house for Thanksgiving. They didn't want to be in the hotel room, so it was Flea and John from the Chili Peppers. Guitar.
Oh shit! And the Hams? That's so fucking dope. That's so dope.
Yeah, check this out, right? So my band playing, and I was too embarrassed. I didn't want them to come see us, right? So I'm like, y'all stay here at the house and just hang out. You know, I'll be back later with some shit. Right?
I'll be back.
My man Chris was the sound man at St. Andrews. He picked them up and brought them over to my show, right?
Damn
so I'm on, you know how big Paychecks is. So I'm on the stage looking in the back and I see commotion, right? And it's the Chili Peppers getting in the gig. They coming in and Mr. Paycheck is at the door giving them shit. And I remember my band, we stopped the song like, wait, stop, hold on. I get on the mic like, hey, that's the Red Hot Chili Peppers, man. Let them in here. So, I mean, literally, I got an article, it's a clipping, like, you know, it was an article in the Metro Times about that and everything. So, yeah, they came to my show and sat in with my band, and we did a couple songs that night. So,
that's so dope.
My motherfuckers for life. So, even if I ain't, I'm kind of like an honorary Chili Pepper. That's
right? For real, though. For real, you really are.
Thanks for that story, man. That's amazing.
Yeah, you know. Yeah, it's, you know, that's part of my story, but and that's, you know, that's the real deal. So anyway, how y'all doing today?
We're doing great.
I know you said you worked with so many different Detroit artists. I know you said you did worked with some ICP guys. I think you said on your radio show, or you were saying you did something. I think we talked yesterday about ICP.
Shout out to Joe Bruce.
Yeah, I've been knowing them guys before they was wearing the makeup. Actually, that's
they. I knew them when they were doing backflips on the mattresses at their mama's house in Ferndale. When you said Ferndale High, I know you were in those. I probably ran into you in that backyard a couple times.
Yeah, I was hanging. You know,
I would come home covered. My mom would be like, "Why are you sticky?" I'm like, well, these guys, and they got this, they take pop and they spray us, and then there's cupcakes. She's like, what the fuck are you doing?
10, 5, touchdown!
Low picture quality got you down.
What was that?
Need a napkin?
Wow, nice.
In the street,
Tuning in some satellites.
Somebody wanted to talk to us.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Man. So yeah, I know them guys. You know, I actually just put a TV show band together for them last year. Year before last, right when the pandemic kicked off. They had a TV show at their house, their compound, and they needed a band at the last minute, and they called me, and I put it together for them. It's on YouTube. You know, they gave me.
I saw that. That was you. That's amazing.
That was me. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm still friends with the younger brother, so we talk often, and he always be sending links and stuff. So that's pretty dope.
No, that's
So,
what's up.
when did you get introduced to being a DJ? Was it at the same time? You know, during high school, you know, everybody.
Yeah, exactly. I was DJing probably around 1980, 81. I was just fucking around though. A couple guys in my neighborhood, which are legendary DJs to this day in Detroit. Shout out to my man Tony Foster. Tony was the man back in the day, and everybody looked up to him. And I was friends with his younger brothers, so they would make mixtapes, and when they would leave, we would sneak down in the basement, start fucking with their equipment. And I remember we all had this thing about, all right, man, you got to put the record exactly right where he had it, with the everything right there with the needle. No, because we didn't want his brother knowing we was fucking with his shit, because he would have probably killed us and shit. He can laugh. We can laugh about it now, but no, I mean, we was doing that. I remember, I think the first records I was used to blending and cutting was Planet Rock and Soul Sonic Force. And stuff like that, and Kraftwerk numbers and shit like that. Because I was a b-boy, I was into break dancing, and so I was doing all of that shit before I was really getting up. I used to beatbox in junior high school with my man. We was talking about that on the other night. My man out there, shout out to Photog, out there, and he's out there in the AZ. He was just on my show the other night, and he's another Detroit rap legend. So we went to junior high together, and we was laughing about how we started this shit off. Man, and he ended up coming out on tour with George Clinton with me too. He also write a lot of stuff and raps for George, and so that was deep. How that connection happened, but it's definitely a lot of Detroit love.
Yeah. That brings up something I wanted to ask you about. So knowing a little bit about P-Funk and having seen him perform, and I mean, they put on those 3-4 hour shows, and I mean, they're all about touring. How has it been, with the pandemic and everything? I know they're all about touring. Everybody kind of got shut down. Must have really hit a group like that. It must have really hit them hard, because I mean, like you were just pointing out earlier before we went on the air, they just did a show. They're constantly touring, right?
They are touring. Let's shout out to my man Dr. Funkenstein. George FaceTime me and wish me happy birthday. That was great. Him and his wife the other night. And then right before, he's like, yeah, we about to go on and stuff. And I was driving, coming up Woodward, headed to my gig, and I'm like, all right. And he saw the snow, and was like, be safe and everything. So I was just like, yeah, y'all kick ass. So I'll, close my phone, and I'll open it up when I get to the gig and log on, and they live in front of 10,000 people somewhere. I'm thinking it was I'm not sure, but I think they're in New Orleans this weekend, and they tour more than any band I know on the planet. And I don't really tour with them anymore. I did in the '90s. I was a drummer for them, and then I played offshoot band. 95. It was actually my first show with them was Buffalo State University, February 18th, which would have been yesterday. Wow.
Wow.
1896. It was my 26th birthday. I just turned 26. And I remember my band played a little dive in Flint. It was like one of our last shows together. And I left out of Bishop International. Next thing I know, bam, I was in Buffalo. And 2 days after that, I was in New Orleans and in Mardi Gras. And I remember tripping, calling my mom like, it's February and I got a t-shirt on. You know what I'm saying? So, so it was just deep. I mean, like I went everywhere with them though. I have to say some of my highlights are probably playing almost 6-hour show in Paris.
Wow, man.
5 hours and 48 minutes. As far as I'm concerned, that's 6 hours. I had sticks in my hands when I got done. It was like this.
That's
I was
amazing.
so freaked out, like, oh my God, you know what I'm saying? These motherfuckers trying to kill me. And Prince showed up tonight too. So when Prince showed up, I think we played another extra hour just because of that or something.
Wow.
It's crazy as hell. But I had a lot of great memories. I wouldn't trade it for the world. And you know, like I said, I still sit in and, you know, play with various members of the group. You know, to this day, you know, so I'm still family and alumni. It's always, I'm Funkadelic for life. After that kindergarten story, you already know, ain't shit changing that.
Keeping it real.
I think that's classic, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
can you imagine a little? It's like a show and tell on the first day, and then he rolls that out, and you're just like,
somebody
they probably lost all their shit.
Somebody needs to recreate that into a little short film.
So I was trying to be creative. You know, I'd already took my Evil Knievel and my Spider-Man and all that other shit. So, you know, we was, you know, at kindergarten, I was that deep. Like, I was that heavy into music. So it led me to, you know, I was always playing. So it's just deep how that story starts because I was playing music then for people. And here, that's what I do now on my stuff.
Full circle.
Yeah, it's embedded in your soul for sure. That was for sure.
For sure.
So Gabe, you say you're a b-boy. I consider myself definitely a b-boy, but you know you're a little older than me. You hear the P-Funk sound. It influences what today is known as hip hop. You hear it in early PE music, Public Enemy, and then like an artist like a Dr. Dre and Ice Cube kind of pulls it in and even takes it to the next level. Are you surprised that even a George Clinton music, P-Funk, all that stuff has so much influence on hip hop from beginning to now? Are you surprised that hip hop has that much? It has that much influence on it?
Not at all. As a matter of fact, I got some special stories to share with y'all about that. So,
we can reduce your tax bill with quarterly payments.
Oh.
This commercial just keeps coming up. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's the funk trying to ease in there. I can get it. So, going back to 1988. Let's go back to 1988. I'm still in high school, right? I know George Clinton. I do my first show with P-Funk when I was 18. I was still in high school. And we used to rehearse in my grandmother's basement. And George came by one day. And the rappers started to be booming because, you know, George was already into it. He was considered really one of the first rappers, too. If you listen to the early Funkadelic stuff, like songs like Undisco Kid, which is another one of my monikers and aliases. I'm going to tell you some history. Look that song up and play it later today. It's called The Undisco Kid. It's on the Tales of Kid Funkadelic album. One of the lyrics that George raps in there, he says, I'm public enemy #1 on the undisco scene. Chuck D took that name from that song. And factually, I'm telling all y'all and everybody listening, and George knows it, I was the first person to play George Clinton Public Enemy at his house, 1988, in Brooklyn, Michigan, at his annual backyard barbecue jam. I did Takes the Nations of Millions from Wright, and we all had them. And I told Chuck D this because Chuck is a friend of mine. So we went to George's farm and I was like, man, you got to hear this. And I popped it in and I kept pointing out all the P-Funk samples in Public Enemy's music. And George he lit up like a Christmas tree. And he loved Chuck D's voice. He had never heard anything like that. He said it reminded him like of him and the bass singer for Parliament, Ray Davis, how Chuck and Flav interacted. He said it, man, it kind of reminded me of me and Ray, how we used to play with the voice. And I turned George Clinton on to Public Enemy in his kitchen in 1988. It was me. Wow. And when we were rehearsing for that show that I did with him, he loved Rakim. Like to this day, Rakim is my favorite rapper because of George Clinton. Because George Clinton said, "Quote: Rakim is to rap what Jimi Hendrix is to the fucking guitar. Period." So that's it. So there ain't nobody talking. Because George know Rakim will fuck you up with not one cuss word, and you don't know what to do. So,
right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's real talk right there. He will too.
That's why he's the god. So anyway, George Clinton had me slow down on the 4-track, Follow the Leader, that had just came out. We in my basement, and I had to take the track, put it on 4-track, and George said, slow it down. George Clinton learned the lyrics to Follow the Leader word for word in my basement, right?
Oh, wow.
He do the show, he bust out and start doing this stuff on the show. Like we playing, you know, one of P-Funk's big signature live jams, Let's Take It to the Stage, and he rapped that shit the whole night. Stop bugging the brothers, say, digging my couldn't follow the leader long enough, so I drug him. And we like, God, yeah, he just did that shit the whole, man, look. Oh, and then fast forward to that, now my uncle in Detroit, you know, that's my guy, I ain't gonna mention his name, but he knows a lot of people. And he called me one day and like, man, you got to come over to the house, man. I got somebody I want you to meet. Now my uncle, man, I'm like, man, I don't know, man. I don't like meeting people like that. So I'm like, no, you got to come by here. You really got to come by. I got somebody I want you to meet. I ended up going by there. And lo and behold, it was Dre and Snoop was over his house. Now, this is 1992. I knew who Dr. Dre was from NWA. Snoop hadn't had even a record out, but my uncle was married to his aunt. So, you know, anyway, whatever. I go over there and shoot the shit. I called George Clinton later. Like, hey, man, Dr. Dre is at the house. You should call over there to my uncle's crib. You know, I gave him the number. There's the number. Because I had to just, you know, drive George around and go pick him up from the airport and stuff like that. So I, you know, saw him 2 days later. I was like, here, man, call my uncle's number. Dr. Dre is over there. Because I didn't mention Snoop because, like I said, Snoop hadn't even had a record out yet. Although they was working on Deep Cover.
Deep Cover,
so, George ended up calling. And I found out later, my uncle's wife answered the phone, and I guess she hung up on him. She's like, "This ain't no shit." Same thing with the free thing, right? So she hung up on his ass. I told George, "Man, why did you call?" He's like, "Man, I called. Somebody hung up on me." I was like, so I had to tell him about that when I saw them, and she said, "Oh, damn, I didn't know. I thought somebody." If she didn't know it was Richard George Clinton. When I told her, like, what the hell on it? He called. So long story short, I'm not going to, I know getting further into that, I'll tell y'all in a minute, but I'm not going to say I'm responsible. But Jay was already into the P-Funk, but I was the first one trying to connect him and George like that. So that was me.
Yeah.
Now, I ended up working with one of this guy, you know, I play with here, T Money Green in Detroit. You know, he's well known in the hip hop shit. He was with the Dramatics, and he ended up going out there and working with Death Row and stuff. And we actually do some of that stuff. And he actually put me back in touch, and I hung out with Snoop when Snoop was just here, a little while ago. I told him, like, man, I remember you. First thing I said was, I remember you on Pallister over my Uncle Rick crib, and your Aunt Carol, he just looked at me and hugged me. He didn't even say shit. He knew then, like, right? So that was a bond right there. Me and Snoop, you know, that's my guy and stuff. And we actually went to the studio and cut a couple tunes for him after that. I don't know what's going on with it, but I don't know. My man T Money, he worked that out. But anyway. Yeah, so that's my connection to that, and they love P-Funk. Like Ice Cube said, gangsters love Parliament Funkadelic. They love it. Everywhere I went on tour worldwide, it was a party every fucking night. It was a new party in the city. The same thing, just another night, and it was kind of overwhelming for me actually, because I didn't realize it was like all of this, you know what I'm saying? So,
well, you know, with the whole G-Funk thing, I mean, it's like a thread, man. It just goes through all that stuff. And then you know, even with like Digital Underground calling themselves Sons of the P, that's the way I look at it. They're all Sons of the P. You know, it's like everything grows from that.
Yeah, it does. Shock is a friend of mine. Rest in peace. We used to hang out a lot, and another one I got a chance to play with him a couple times, and I was VIP one time in the Digital Underground show, and it was a wild show. I'll tell you that much.
I bet.
Oh man, I ain't never seen nothing like that.
Damn.
It was in Malibu somewhere, but we went out there. Me and Gary Scheider starts out from P-Funk, and it was just me and him. They sent the limo. Nobody else wanted to go.
Wow.
So we hanging, and man, it was amazing, you know. And you know, Shock showed us a lot of love that night. And Money too. I got to shout out Money B.
Money B, yeah.
News and shit.
Yeah.
All my folks and shit too, man. And wow, yeah.
Nah, man, it's amazing. I like it. It's an adventure. The stories you got there, but we could probably keep this going for.
Oh man,
like
I know. I'm like, I just,
all day.
We just have a P-Funk show right now.
But
Literally.
what really amazes me though is that how you were around seasoned people at such a tender age.
Yeah, for real.
And how the influence of how this laid the path for you in your career, and how it just impacted, like you were part of that movement with the shift of the music, and how it just embedded and imprinted, because some of the stuff you said kind of tells us our age, you know what I'm saying? So I was just like, you know, I can just remember in my mind, like, you know, you was part of that while I was, you know, dancing around trying to be a kid, doing my own thing. But it's just, it just like totally is off the chain when it comes to like just knowing how young you are from the time you said you were in kindergarten all the way to your teenage, and then just adhering to your grandma's like, I'll whoop your ass if you try to go on tour. And you were like, you know what,
your granny was about it.
You know what I'm saying? She was like, I don't give a damn if they're making flapjacks and all that, but you gonna finish school, and but it still moved you to not let go, but make your own band. Right. And then, you know, continuously being, you know, just with a P-Funk, and then you got the flavor of Morris Day in there. And it's just like a combination of all this huge cocktail that's just igniting.
Right. Well, like I said, I'm really blessed, and I'm blessed to share these stories with you, because my thing is, it's so much in my mind, you wouldn't believe it. And I don't believe it. It's mind blowing to me. And the thing is, your questions are triggering these stories, because it's not nothing I had planned on talking about. It's just, I'm interacting with y'all. And because of y'all asking these type of questions, which I love, I'm able to engage and share these type of stories, because I forget about this shit unless somebody, it's like certain things will trigger that, and I'm like, oh,
oh, this happened.
I got a question for you. So you just recently saw Super Bowl 56, right? Come full circle. You see Dr. Dre, you see Snoop Dogg, you see Eminem, Detroit representing there. You see, do you know Anderson .Paak, the drummer that was on stage?
I don't know him. I haven't met him yet, but I plan on it. He's, you know, one of my favorites. I play his music on my show.
Yeah, he's funky.
And, you know, I've been digging Anderson for a couple years now. So yeah, I knew exactly who he is and who he was.
About circle, you see so much influence of P-Funk on the Super Bowl, and people are not talking about it, right? But you see it, you know what I mean? You see it in Dr. Dre, you see in all that music that he produced early in the 90s to the early 2000s. That's got to bring a big smile to your face, I would think.
Oh, yeah. All of us, you know, because, you know, Georgia knew, and I knew it too, because I feel responsible, because I was there when George was developing that whole love for the hip hop community, because that gave P-Funk a second life, you know, and he knew it. And, you know, it was like, we support them because they embraced us, you know, and like, you know, that's how I know a lot of these people. When I play with P-Funk, you can't imagine the number. I could sit here and tell you days like I party and smoke weed with Bruce Willis. Okay, I could tell you just motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? So it's just look, I got goosebumps.
Listen, I come to Detroit, I need to smoke some weed with you and just sit and listen. Because
I'm just saying, you know, that's real shit. He had a party for us, him and Demi Moore when they were still married. A party for us at their private fucking crib. So, like, I got tons of stories, but you know, I ain't trying to get off into that shit. But you know, I am working on a book, so hopefully, you know.
That's what I was gonna say. You need a book.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you need to put this down on paper.
It takes stuff like this to help me remember this, because I couldn't just like, oh yeah, you know. So you know, I'll always remember that story because there was a lot of stuff going on that night. But you know, like, or me standing in the corner and I see Quentin Tarantino's ass standing there trying to be all low key, and I'm like, man, I know who the fuck you are, and he's just standing, and still don't say shit. But I'm like, I ain't gonna bust you and shit. Like literally, he's at one of our shows sitting there, and we playing Maggie Brain and Samuel Jackson getting on stage with us, reciting the lyrics to Pulp Fiction over Maggie Brain. It's terrible.
Yes. Fuck.
I mean, it's like I can go on and on for days. But anyway, I'm just blessed to be a part of that and where I was. You know, it ain't really about me. I'm just a vessel and a messenger for all this shit, and I just try to do my part. You know, and you know, I ain't even thinking. I'm such a humble guy. You know, I know some of any and everybody, but at the same time, I'm still a real dude. That's why I like this word on the streets, because I'm in tune with the streets. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right, Dave, I know we were talking about him. Shout out to Ro. There he is. He's on the screen. He's checking in.
Hey, Ro. Shout out to Ro.
My dog right there. I wouldn't be. Ro plugged me in with y'all. Yeah,
Ro's a cool dude.
You
know.
On some producing, not to cut you off. I'm producing some music on Ro. I gotta wait for that. It's hot.
Nice. You know, you said one thing you said, you know, it's not about me, I'm just a vessel. But there was one thing that you said that stuck with me, and you learned it from a young age, is you said a drummer's job is to carry the beat, captivate people, make them move, make them dance, drop that beat and make everybody feel good. And even though you said it's not about you, a lot of it is about you, because you did that. You delivered that to so many people and crowds. When you go to a show and you go to a live band, they remember the drummer. That's what brings them all together. You're like the backbone. You're the glue to that band, right? You got the bass, you got the vocals, you got the lead. But when that beat drops, when that drum hits, man, the rush you feel through your body. Anybody that's ever been to a live show they know what that rush is, and you bring that rush. So you can humble it down and act like it ain't about you a little bit, but go on ahead and shine, because man, the feeling you give to people is just it's a gift. It's a
and there's your book title, Carry the Beat.
Carry the beat. I'm telling you, man. I got goosebumps just because I know the beat, the feeling you give to people. I know, right? This that vibe, man.
When I was 14, when I started, and my dad, he finally got me some drum heads for my little half a piece ass drum set I had. He's like, you got the most important job in a band. He was like, you're the leader of the band. I'm like, what? And when he said that, it almost made me quit that immediately. I don't want to lead shit. I just want to play the drum.
I just want to be back here. I just wanted to be back here. What the fuck is this about?
That's all you need.
That's it.
You are correct. Because, like, look, I'm going to share a story. One time, my grandmother, after years of hearing me make noise in the basement and all that shit, I mean, for years, my godmother finally brought her down to see me play with P-Funk at Shane Park. And it touched my heart because she saw me play for the first time. She never saw me play. She just heard me in the basement making noise.
Right.
So for her to see me up there, she's like, my God, I didn't realize what you did. She was like, you holding all that together. You like
the glue.
You are like
the glue. You are the glue.
Anyway, that she actually could see that, you know, and same part on top of that, Franklin Theater now, but
yeah, but it's still Shane Park. It's still Shane Park.
That's just like Pine Knob, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Right? Just like Pine Knob. It never changed.
Yeah. So, you know, that's pretty much I've just been blessed to have a lot of good people in my life, a lot of mentors, a lot of influences. Because I didn't grow up with, you know, parents really, you know, it took that village to really raise me because I was into the gang shit like heavy when I was coming up, and I was getting in trouble and stealing cars, doing all kind of shit you wouldn't believe, because I still can't believe it when I look back now. It really got me out of that, you know, and it took me somewhere that I wouldn't think I would have came coming off of 8 Mile, you know, because that's where I'm from. And I ain't talking about the movie. I'm talking about the real 8 Mile.
The real 8 Mile.
Well, yeah. I mean,
6 Mile, right.
We'll fast forward. What are you doing now? I know you have your radio show. When do you do it? And then what are you working on now? Are you working on any music? Are you working on any records?
Man, yeah, I'm doing all of that. Well, let's get to the show. Right now, I got some things I'm working on with my label. I'm an A&R and producer with Modern Tribe Music, and you know, we got some things popping, and we got a couple projects we putting out, and I'm also with Architect Entertainment, about to drop something with my band, Enema Squad. And I'm also working on a major project with my man, Kelton Cooper. He's on the East Coast. He's got some major things happening with, I ain't gonna say too much, but Clive Davis is involved. That's all I'm gonna say.
You looked excited when you mentioned it. I can see your excitement. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I can't talk about too much, but I got some of that coming on. And I'm producing some artists and working with a friend of mine. She just got her label. Shout out to Lady Ice for Key and Nicole. She tuned in. I'm trying to network with her and help her with her label. She just signed a deal with West Coast distribution. So, you know, it's a bunch of different things I got cooking. And my show, that's something I kind of started. You know, I've been doing DJ mixes for a couple years. Was doing a lot of birthday tributes to people and you know, paying tribute to people, doing anthology mixes for their birthday. And it kind of led into me filling in for one of my buddy shows. And I think January 6, 2020, I decided, you know what, I'm going to do my own show. And then I kind of started and did, you know, a few episodes, and it went really well. And, you know, people started pushing me. And then I moved to a different platform, which is P-Funk Radio, which is based out of DC. And it's 24 hours a day. They've been on the air since the internet started. For 22 years, they've been you know, rocking. Wow. And it's commercial free. It's on right now, actually. But we're only live on my nights, Wednesday night, and Fridays and Saturdays. But my night is special. And what I do with my show, because I put a lot into it, you know, a lot of people don't really know. I think I really do more than I should, but that's just me. I'm a perfectionist, so I always go to extra length. Because when I'm done with it, or if I just say I'm done with this, then it's like a whole archive of hell of a shows I have at least. About so far, I think it's maybe 200 or some odd guests I've had every night, every week. So you guys already know. For me, because you get special stuff. For me to come out and pull a rabbit out of my hat and have special guests, and I've had everybody on my show from Martha Reeves to you know, Nick Speed and Awesome Dre, Detroit Hip Hop. Those my brothers. I also worked and did music and produced stuff on Awesome Dre, and you know, you know, it's just a fun show. You know, I've had people from Prince's Camp on there, people from Morris Day and the Times Band been on my show. You know, everybody in Parliament Funkadelic just about has been on my show, except for George. I'm going for George next, but you know, I had to say couple of lines. I done had all George's kids on. I done had pretty much everybody in the band on.
Did you say you had the Beastie Boys on the other day?
Oh, wow.
Played some Beastie Boys. My partner, he, you know, those are one of his influences. I play Cookie Puss because I remember hearing that in Detroit. When I was a kid, when I first started practicing and playing drums, I was about 13 or 14, and I remember, if I remember Stacy, y'all, this might be a little bit before your time. LBS, and they was in Mount Clemens, but they used to sneak in little shit and we'll play some funk and some hip hop, and that's how I got hip to the Beastie Boys. I heard that song, and I was like, "Damn, what is this?" And I remember recording it, and next thing I know, I remember playing drums and just jamming to it. I thought it was funky. I didn't know shit about the Beastie Boys, but I love that song. And the next thing you know, me and my homies, we DJing the parties and rocking Brass Monkey and all this shit. But yeah, I used to be friends with them. I got to hang out with them. I was a guest of theirs at Oakland Coliseum a couple years back, and
damn.
they had Bad Brains open the show and Green Day. So that was a pretty wild ass.
Damn.
That's great.
So you can imagine, right?
I can imagine.
That's one of my favorite groups. I love them.
Yeah, man, they dope. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm still working on that. My show is every Wednesday night for y'all want to tune in 9 p.m. Eastern to midnight, and
that's on the P-Funk Radio, right?
PFunkRadio.com. That's it. No registration.
Definitely.
Commercial free, and some of my best DJ mixes. That's pretty much what I do. I start off with an old classic time travel segment featuring a bunch of 80s, 90s, 70s, even 60s.
Pulling out some
old school joints, yeah. And then I lead into my special guest. Let me do an interview, and then I play a special mix for them, and then I close it with some special mixes. So that's another thing. And y'all have my man on Herb, which through Roe. I'm got a little cameo in the TV show Shots, so y'all can check me out.
Oh shit!
There you go.
We're Roe.
Yeah, shout out to Herb, shout out to Roe.
I got a wall question before you let you go, because I know you were in that scene. Did you know Jeff Mills, the Wizard?
Man, I met Jeff in 1987. I was still in high school.
It's just a list.
He was my friend's neighbor, and so I would hear him bring records in, and I would talk to him. But I know the Wizard.
Damn.
And I used to go to sleep to him every night, man. That was the greatest.
Wizard.
He wasn't playing. He set the bar for every DJ in the city, and they all know. I don't care who it is. If you wasn't inspired or give some props to the Wizard, then you ain't a DJ, as far as I'm concerned. Because he could work 4 decks before anybody even thought about that shit. When he was still doing mixes for Mojo. So Mojo was really one of my inspirations. I remember the first night he went on the air on WGPR, and then I found out later that he paid for his own time. Because I could never understand how a black radio station, one of the first black-owned stations in the country, was letting the DJ get away with playing rock and punk rock and all this stuff. And I figured it out. He bought his own time, and then shout out to Mojo because he.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he turned the hood and all of us on B-52s, Devo, Kraftwerk, and Kraftwerk alone, as far as I'm concerned, aside from P-Funk, are one of the blueprints of DNA to hip hop. So, it starts with that. So as far as I'm concerned, Kraftwerk definitely get their kudos because
definitely in the DNA for sure.
It wouldn't be Planet Rock without Kraftwerk, and it wouldn't be, Art of Noise and a lot of, B-boy groups that was based off of that, and Kraftwerk was doing that in mid '70s. You know what I mean? So yeah. So that's that.
It all comes together. That's the amazing thing when you talk about BC Boys. You got Run DMC. They had the rock element, the guitar element they brought in. All this stuff just comes in, it all intertwines together. So it's that's what's so amazing about it.
Yeah.
Man, I love the rock input because when I started my band, Enemy Squad, like I was saying back in the 90s, we were the first band in Detroit, and people don't give us a lot of credit. Like I said, somebody just spoke to something about saying Rage Against the Machines was the the founders of mixing hip hop and metal, and I was like, nah. In 1990 in Detroit, I had DJ Lynn Swan, if y'all know who he is. He was with us when he was 14 years old, literally. And I went on to do records with Eminem. He also introduced me to MC Breed, who I work with. Shout out to my man, rest in peace to Breed. And we was doing that shit then with mixing rap and hip hop and metal in my band in the early 90s. You can hear that on my first record, which is out there. Some of y'all can find it, on Davies was Sticky Liquid Funk, and I had my man on there who did something with me, Black, who who left Kid Rock's band. He was Kid Rock's MC, my man, Black Man. Kid Rock, he joined my band. He was my front man, and I produced him. So we put that out right after Kid Rock Party Ways. And Kenny Olsen, who was my guitar player before Kid Rock, he Lollapalooza with us. So I put Kenny on, and that's my guy too. You know, shout out to him. So, you know, my band has had a lot of local legends in it. You know, we had all those guys, and we was doing, you know, rap and metal and soul even then, you know. So, yeah.
So was that the group that opened, when you said you opened for Rage, was it Enema Squad?
We opened for Rage. We opened for Ernie Isley there. We opened for Fishbone. We opened for there's tons of groups, you know, and you know, especially around here in Detroit. It's just, you know, in New York City as well. We did you know, open for Morris Day at a Time and Tramps in New York, and it's been so many. I can't remember all of them, but
many.
You know, a few highlights, and then you know, we did some tours around the country, and you know, y'all check it out.
Check that album down.
I appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming on. You got so many stories. I gotta have you. I gotta have you back. You got so many stories. So we'll leave it like that. Why must I feel like that? Why must I chase the cat? So shout out to legendary P-Funk guitar drummer. Thanks, Gabe. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for coming out, man.
Gabe. Yes, thank you for taking us on a time travel. Thank you so much, man.
Birthday. Don't party too much. Much love, man.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm good. Hey, and when y'all get a chance, y'all brought up my man Anderson .Paak. Check him out. He on that new Atomic Dog. It's on YouTube from the Trolls movie. Anderson .Paak is playing on it, and he's doing some spitting some bars on the new Atomic Dog. So that brings it up.
Oh, I gotta check it out.
Check it out. I love that.
Yes. We'll check you out Wednesday nights as well. I can't wait to tune in and catch you.
Y'all can hit me up, Gabe Gonzalez, all lowercase on Instagram, Gabe Gonzilla on Facebook, and y'all can find me there. Hit the fan page. I'm there.
For sure.
Definitely.
Peace out. Have a good one, man. Stay safe.
Take care, man.
One love, y'all.
Bye-bye.
Whew.
That was awesome. That was
woo. Literally on the time travel. That was fucking real.
I could go for another 2 hours.
Right. That's why I said we come to Detroit. I got a big fat blunt. I'm smoking with him because we hanging out. Okay. For real. We smoking Gorilla Glue when we come to Detroit. We gonna have a good time.
I think when someone talks about Detroit, you know, you have the Motown movement, but you don't really. There's not a lot of talk about, you know, the Funkadelic, the P-Funk, all that stuff in the Midwest or whatever. You know, Detroit was a big music town. You know, I know. You know,
hub. It was the staple. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just crazy
Well,
stuff.
it goes to what he was saying. I mean, like when you look at P-Funk, they weren't your mainstream. They weren't getting a lot of radio play, and they weren't they were more underground. They were
underground.
Your friend's friend would tell you about them, you know, and I think that's probably why they didn't get as much of the spotlight. But man, I mean, like he just pointed out, it's in there, man. Whether you acknowledge it or not,
accept it or not.
Yeah, like you said, it's a woven thread through it all. Like, whew, man, whew, the vibe. My body is tingling. That's amazing.
It's crazy, man. How many things he's been involved with? Like, I mean, I bet we just barely scraped the surface. You know, what he has to talk about, like all his experiences, is pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the Mork and Mindy eggshell. I was like, you know what? You're telling my age because I remember.
Right? Okay.
I've got so many
Nanu, motherfucker. Listen, I already know Wednesday night when he said I do a little time travel. I'm gonna have out a whole sequin outfit and fucking roller skates, trying to roll around the fucking kitchen dancing.
You know,
I can't wait.
I don't know if you guys caught this story. We'll jump into the show. You guys talking about Catholic school. I was going to bring it up, and I know you probably caught this story. So, what was going on with this priest that had to step away because he gave a bunch of different baptisms that were invalid? Like, you reach out to the people that were baptized and say, "Hey, you know what? We baptized you because the Catholic Church kind of fucked up." And the priest said "we" instead of "I." Did you guys catch that story?
Yeah, I
saw
caught
it.
Yeah,
it.
I did. But you know,
Mhm.
I was kind of like
That's pretty
twisted
strict.
in regard. I was like, so how do you go wrong on a baptism though? You know, I just
Right.
One
I was
word
like,
though. Somebody's got to explain
One
that to me.
word, one
That's
word.
really
But
strict.
and then
mhm.
so then what do? You tell your child that you know what, you're damned until we get you rebaptized again.
Right.
Got that do over.
I think it was funny though. They're like, of all the things you could focus on that are wrong in the Catholic Church, that's the one thing that you investigated on. Okay.
Oh,
That's where you put the investigation money. Okay.
He said we instead of I baptize you.
Mm-hmm.
It's one word, right?
Yeah,
right.
one word. That's what from what I saw in the story. That's what the.
Yeah, it was one word. Which
But then
I don't
was
know.
stuck
I
on
would
like,
think.
is there a meaning behind it? Because does it mean something
Yeah.
sacrilegious that he said we? I didn't understand that part. That's where I was like, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm not Catholic. I mean, I love the Catholic religion, and I'm more of a student of religion in general. But I was really stuck on that part, trying to figure out what there must be some symbolism or something that got broken by them using that term versus I. You know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what triggered them to do, go on their backlogs about like how did the baptism, with the one, the word where it just kind of messed up everybody. I don't know how they.
Yeah,
Somebody
when
named
they
Karen
caught
was
it.
in the
You
audience.
research
Was
this
like, wait
and
a
say,
minute.
you know what, we're going through a
Somebody named Karen was like,
In the audience was like, wait a minute.
this is a I, not a we situation.
I and we.
I reported.
Yeah.
That's a lot of baptisms to do over though, man. They're gonna be busy.
Man,
I gotta be honest with you. You just said it, Eddie. Baptism, I don't know if you know, it's not free, right? You gotta
that's
pay.
what I was gonna ask. Is there a cost involved? Because you gotta get some money back, right?
Right. I want our money back.
Refunds.
Oh, wait a minute, they charge?
Yeah.
It's all about money, right? They want, I don't know if you know this, Eddie, and I probably said it many times, they definitely, the different Catholic churches you go to, as soon as you join the parish, they want to know what your last year, can you bring your last year's tax return? Yeah, so we can see what you need to contribute. So there you go.
That's sick. I'm serious. I'm like,
yeah. Listen, I'm gonna be a whole ass Karen and ask for my money back.
Right.
Like no, he said we, not I. I think I need a refund.
So recently they had the Super Bowl parade. Reporter took a bad fall. Here it is.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw this the other day.
So Stafford is a generous guy. He's going to pay for all the medical bills for this person that fell.
You know why though, right? Because he turned around and walked away when she fell. He's like, I'm gonna step up. If you saw the video, he was like, I'm out.
I'm out. I gotta go. It's not my job.
Yeah, and then that was what went everywhere viral. It was like this guy just walked off, and his wife jumped to save her. I was like, wow.
Kelly is pretty awesome like that. So
he could have leaned over and probably picked her up, done something.
Let me help you out. He was like, you know what? I did enough for this game. I'm done.
When they said
act like I didn't.
I know, man. That hurt me through the just hearing that.
Yeah,
that's painful.
For sure.
So, spring training and the spring games are coming up in the MLB. MLB is going to be in a lockout here, and it's going to affect. I know we're here in Phoenix. Everybody here on the show right now is in Phoenix, and also the games that are in Florida. But MLB cancels first week of spring training games because of the MLB lockout. That's going to have don't you think it's going to have a big impact on Phoenix economy?
Yeah.
That brings a lot of money.
Yeah, no, it's a big contribution to our income that comes in here. We bounce, we really hold on to that type of revenue that comes in because for one, it employs, plus it's money coming in. it really does
$4.
impact. But my whole thing was that too. I mean, they had a 15-minute like meeting and nobody's budging. Like, I don't get it. Like, they're going from 100 million to 115. You can't put that on a parking lot and come back to it so that, you know, we can get this thing going on, because we're always talking about, you know, economics, and with that, knowing that how that's going to impact our economy, I don't understand why this can't like have a ceasefire and come with it later on. It's crazy.
Sounds like they work like Congress.
That's
So if you guys remember, you know, the MLB had a lockout in the 90s, and I think it had affected Major League Baseball because there was a lot of fans that stopped watching the game because it became about money. So this could be bad for the Major League Baseball, because if there's another lockout and it goes for months, it could definitely hurt the sport. So
yeah, but you know what? I was watching earlier in regards to that even the league here for the spring training, they were emphasizing that, you know what, they had, because of the pandemic, they had worked out some things just in case that would happen. So there might be there's a lot behind the scenes that they're not telling us. They're just giving us nooks and crannies of the whole situation, because they have, the way they were stating is that they have a plan within the plan if it doesn't go in their favor.
Okay. So I would love to sing the old Canada national anthem, but they're having problems at the Ambassador Bridge. But on a good note, the women's hockey Canada team beat USA and they obtained the gold. So there you go. Old Canada. You know this? Do you know the song, Tori? Do you know how it goes? I just know Old Canada.
Canada, oh Canada, I don't know the rest.
Like that? Is it like that Christmas tree carol? It sounds like
kind of. Yeah, it's kind of like that, pretty much. That's why I just started humming it.
Well, we'll wait. You guys go ahead and work it out. Let's listen to the.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I know. But they did beat them. Yeah. Give me a beatbox. I was gonna ask him to beatbox for us. By the way, next time. I was like,
that's
maybe
crazy.
it's not high enough.
He hooked up the whole Snoop and Dr. Dre. That's amazing.
I mean, that's a great icebreaker at a party.
Yeah.
Man. Like, I played this record for George Clinton. I mean, the thing is, like, I wanted to talk about it. I didn't want to interrupt, because I'm not joking, man. I was riveted. I probably look stupid, but I'm just like listening to everything he's talking about. It was blowing my mind. But just like you know, all that G-Funk. I mean, it was so completely lifted from Parliament Funkadelic, that the sound, the vibe, the drums, everything. It was definitely a big influence.
Did he say Snoop's aunt and his uncle are married?
I heard him say that. Yeah.
That's cool as fuck.
Yeah,
super
I mean,
cool.
it's crazy. You know that they had definitely some.
They're like distant cousins. Yeah.
So you saw the ex-cop sentence the other day, Kim Potter. She's for killing what is it, Daunte Wright. Here's she's out. There it is.
Right? I am so sorry that I brought the death of your son, father, brother, uncle, grandson, nephew, and the rest of your family to your home. Katie, I understand a mother's love, and I am sorry I broke your heart. My heart is broken for all of you. Earlier, when you said that I didn't look at you during the trial, I don't believe I had a right to. I didn't even have a right to be in the same room with you. I am so sorry that I hurt you so badly. I hurt.
So, Ed, that's a different cop, because the other cop that killed what's his name was not very remorseful when they sentenced him. They looked over and he was kind of like stone faced. She actually, she's remorse, even though they had some protesters in Minneapolis. What is your thoughts of what she got? Is that legitimate? She only got 2 years.
I'm gonna be honest, man. When I heard that, my heart sank. I mean, it's tough. Like, cause you want to be able to look at a situation from both sides. At least I do, and try to imagine myself in her shoes. I'm sorry, like I struggle, man, because a taser. If you put a taser and a pistol on a table in front of you, they're completely different. There's I can think of no situation unless you're sleeping on a job where you're gonna grab one and think it's the other. Either way. So I struggle because you want to have empathy for somebody like that in that situation. I can't imagine the tragedy of an accident and even calling it an accident and even hearing somebody say they're sorry is difficult for me because I don't know that it cuts, to what it doesn't speak to what happened there. It's amazing when you think about a mistake of that magnitude. It's rough, man. All I can say is I don't think 2 years is enough, man. I think a mistake like that is like, I don't know. You can't just say I'm sorry for it. There's no real excuse for that unless you're sleeping on the job. And then if you have a job like that, I don't think you should ever be asleep. I mean, it's like there's some mistakes you just can't make.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That was rough, and I think it's heartbreaking because
I mean her crying. I know she seemed remorseful because I know Derek Chauvin. He looked like he really didn't care, and like, why are you saying I'm guilty? It was kind of an opposite thing, but you are right. Michelle, should tell the difference between a gun and a taser?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's not like you're playing with a toy gun that looks like a gun. They're all geared different ways. And so even handling it is different than handling a Glock. You know what I mean? So I think, she made a huge mistake and it's going to cost her. But at the same time, she can't bring back that person's child, their loved one, because just with that one mistake, you have ended a life prematurely. And so, that's something that she's going to have to live with, because you can't, they're just two totally different objects. You just can't just get them confused. It's not a twister top and a gun. It's
completely different.
The material is different. The handle is different.
It feels different. Yeah,
exactly. And even before you shot it, you would have known that it would have the whole zapping situation going on instead of somebody severely bleeding out. So, it is a unique story. And but I just don't understand the timeline, that how they gave the sentence to her. That's
right. 24 months isn't enough.
I heard that. I don't remember the details, but I heard that it's not. I mean, 2 years is one thing, but it's one of those situations where she's not even going to do this. One was not going to be 2 years behind bars. She's going to do significantly less because they're going to take time served and they're going to do other things, the calculations and stuff. She's not even going to spend that much time in jail for it. But I mean, going back even further though, the fact that this kid was pulled over, one of the reasons was a illegal air freshener. That blows my mind.
Right.
Man. How do you even get a law where you can't have a certain air freshener in your car?
Right.
Right. You're not allowed to have the little tree hanging from your window.
The person who shot up in the air, they got mad time for just shooting in the air. Didn't harm anybody, but the fact that it was released.
Endangerment, yeah.
And so, like, you're giving somebody 20-some years for that, but you give what was supposed to be a 7-year sentence 2 years with early,
release.
It's
for an air freshener. That the original start of the pullover is it's just, that's what I was going to bring up. And he's just like, what? You pulled him over for an air freshener hanging in his window, and you got your gun pulled now? Like, what the fuck?
I mean, if there's any solace we could take from it, the fact that she's no longer serving as a police officer, I think is at least we don't.
Like I said, I wonder what they're putting in the water in Minneapolis. I mean, they just recently had another do not warrant. They were still doing them, even though they're not supposed to. So definitely somebody has their own agenda in Minneapolis. So
Prince has a song about that, by the way. Something in the water.
Something in the water. Okay.
Man.
So, Michelle, have you seen Breaking Bad before?
No.
Okay.
Love it.
Well, you
Love
need
it.
Breaking Bad, because I think this is where they got this from. Pozolero has liquefied 300 bodies in Mexico. So he would put them in a barrel and he would pour acid on them, and that was a staple in Eddie knows in Breaking Bad. They would just say, "Go grab the barrel," and they
Go
would
get the
just
barrel.
yeah, go get the barrel, and they would
Disclosing
just,
evidence.
yeah, they would just pour acid. So this guy has liquefied 300 bodies, and now may be released from prison in Mexico. So he might be your neighbor.
What kind of air freshener does he use?
For real. A little stronger than Fabuloso or something. I don't know.
So
He's gonna be our neighbor.
think is he gonna I mean, what do you mean they're releasing this guy? This guy killed 300 people. I don't think there's a serial killer that has killed 300 people.
Yeah, I don't. So he was he must have been with a cartel.
Yeah, he was with a cartel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that says it all right there.
Yeah,
that says it all right there.
Just barrels around.
Who you know?
Right. Listen, I'm minding my business. I don't even want to know my neighbors. Don't.
I don't only talk.
I'm not even gonna complain about your dog shitting on my rocks. I'm good.
He only got 10 years.
Shut my mouth.
He claims that he killed 1,000 people. So
Wow.
They just found
he just
300
boasted
barrels.
about that, huh?
They didn't find those barrels.
Oh, I could just imagine the smell being atrocious. You know? Oh God.
You would think they could have
That
caught
is
him
not
earlier when you just see
fertilizer.
the bill for the acid. Like there must have been quite a
Right.
few acid purchases
Where are you
at
getting
the
this from?
Pozolero house.
Right.
I know from Breaking Bad to Ozark, and I know Eddie watches both. You know how to liquefy a body and launder money. These are the greatest TV shows ever.
I'm so ready to launder money after Ozarks. I'm like, we can do this. Let's find an old town. Every
Everybody
time.
needs a Jason Bateman.
Yes. Every time we go to like a little remote town, I'm like, this place would be perfect. Let's do this. The whole drive, I'm plotting. I'm gonna show up in my animal print. Like, hey.
That's the best show.
It really is. I'm so glad I got talked into watching it. I'm so invested now.
Oh,
I
that's
can't
right.
wait
You're
for-
a new convert. That's right.
I am, and I am here for the shits. I love it all.
Yeah.
So going on to a sad story, I know you girls don't tear up, but a 12-year-old was bullied to death. He killed himself after being bullied at school, telling his parents, snitches. A 12-year-old boy killed himself after being bullied at school, telling his parents, snitches get stitches, when he came home and with a black eye in his family. So the kid's name was Drayke Hardman, 12 years old.
Poor baby.
I know, that's sad though.
Where was this at?
Utah.
Utah?
Yeah, Utah.
Poor baby.
Yeah, but that's the you know, I just blows my mind that, you know, even him was like, you know, even though I done got beat up and bullied, I still don't want to tell, because there's a possibility I could still get in without having any, you know, repercussions of it. And, you know, this world is sick, man. It got our kids twisted. You know, me personally, if he would have came home black-eyed, I'd be like, you know what, either you're going to get your ass whooped again, and so we're going to go find who gave you this black eye. But, you know, it's just that this world between the cyberbullying and, you know, the face-to-face type of bullying, it's just bad. It's bad. Like, how do we,
you know,
they have so much precaution and so much education that's supposed to be put out there to stop the bullying, but like, when is it really going to come into?
I blame the parents. I mean, I know now you can't watch your kids at all times, and the kids are going to be influenced to do a lot of things. They have all this technology at the tip of their fingers, right? And they have all these bad influences and temptations and things kids should not even be a part of, but they are. Yeah. So But it starts at home. If you instill the right morals and values into your children, they can be in a group setting and every kid could be wilding out, and your kid might be there, but they're not going to engage in it. They're going to step back. They're going to assess. They're not going to be the bully. They're not. Or they might be the kid that sticks up for the bully and says, hey, no, man, leave him alone. Or, I was the person that was friends with all the groups. There was cliques everywhere, but my mom told me to be friends with everybody, right? So I was friends with the hippies, the smokers, the nerds, the jocks, the fat girls, the girls who, the kid, all of them. I was friends with everybody because I knew how it felt when I was in Catholic school. They shunned me. And when I got to public school, I was like, oh, Catholic school, I didn't realize they shunned me because I was cute, back then you had a big butt, you were called fat, but I didn't realize I had it going on, right? And these girls were mean to me. They were mean girls. Even like when I was a cheerleader, right? I was like, why are they so fucking mean? So when I got to high school, my mom was like, you be friends with everybody. Don't you click up with nobody. But when you instill that at home, if everybody did that, and and I think a lot of it too, babies having babies. You got these young parents want to be friends, and they see their mama wilding the fuck out on Instagram, right? They on IG, they're on Facebook, they're doing whatever, and they're just showing them that this is okay, that they're adult bullies, and I blame the parents. I blame babies having babies. I blame parents, and it starts at home. It really does. We need to do better.
For real.
Well, I got a 12-year-old, and I know Eddie's got a 12-year-old girl. It's challenging, you got to monitor what they're doing. You know what I mean? They got Snapchat, they got Instagram. It's so challenging with social media.
Yeah, and I also think, it definitely parents are part of it, but I think that I don't know if it's the culture or what, but these schools, man, they got to figure out something. There's got to be a better way to.
They ignore it. They ignore it.
Yeah. Before the pandemic, my kids were actually going to public school, and one of the kids literally created a Snapchat of situations that were going on, like fights and bullying. And I'm like, how does a whole kid create a group and you get to watch these snaps?
Can't do the evidence
of that somebody getting worked. It goes back to what Tori said. It's so true, because if you know that your child is participating or even has the behavior of participating in bullying, that needs to be handled immediately. And so, I'm telling you, this world's crazy. I won't buy my kids cell phones. I'll be like, no, that's a bill.
Yeah, keep that as long as you can. No way.
Yeah.
So, Tori, Valentine's Day, we'll move on. So prayers out to his family, and it's just a sad thing.
Yeah.
Valentine's Day just passed, like I said at the beginning. A serial cheater is a woman. I cheated on my boyfriend on holidays. Now I can't stop being unfaithful. But life is too short not to have great sex. A beautician, Nicole from Baslin in Enix. She was unfaithful during her girls' trip to Barcelona, where she slept with waiter during one night stand, and now she cannot stop. Women,
break
she's
up.
Is she a hoe? A serial cheater? What is a serial cheater?
So a serial cheater is somebody who does it repetitive, like they just keep doing it repeatedly, right? It's like a serial killer. They say they can't help it. It's a serial cheater. I dated a serial cheater. Yeah.
She's an nympho and she don't have a cure for it. Right?
Doesn't need a boyfriend.
She should be single. Like, you don't have to be a cheater. No, you can do these things with 20 people, right? You don't even gotta have a main one. Like, I don't understand. I dated a serial cheater, and I've been using that term for a long time, and people are like, what is that? It's somebody who is pretending they're something they're not, and they have, a whole roster of other people on the side, and they sneak to do this when they can just do it openly and freely and not, deceive people and manipulate. And I think it's a sociopath trait, honestly, because they can say it's about sex, but you can have sex at any fucking time you want. You ain't got to be with somebody to do that. Especially women, right? It's literally, you could walk out your front door and get it. So I think it's a sociopathic trait. I think she's
Where do
just
you live
hiding.
at?
They have the cure for HIV, so she must be.
He said, "Where do you live at?" Phoenix.
No sex in front of my door.
We humping over here.
Tori, I know you know someone that has a baby and has a baby on its way. So stop using baby formula. FDA says after 4 infants are hospitalized.
Huge recall. There's a huge recall. There's a whole list of them.
And it's a
what was wrong with it?
So they said that there's a recall. I'm not really sure exactly what it was out, but so a few have passed away, and it's a whole list of them. It's insane. Salmonella, that's what it was.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
powdered formula.
Yeah, powdered formula.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Salmonella. So there's a whole list online you can find. You can go to similarecall.com and
the plant is in Michigan.
Similacrecall.com.
Shout out to breastfeeding.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or my mom, she raised me on pet milk, like the evaporated milk.
Yeah.
Oh,
it worked. Chunky and thick, but it worked. It's breast milk and evaporated milk.
The Similac is a huge brand. It's the #1 brand of formulas. And yes, shout out to women who can breastfeed, but there are some women who can't, right? There's some women who just don't produce enough. My first child, I was young. My body wasn't ready for that, and I just wasn't producing enough. My second child, he had a lot of gastric issues, and so he needed smaller proteins. He just needed different stuff. So he could only breastfeed for a certain amount of time just to get the nutrients, but it wasn't for full nutrition. So it's scary when you can't, or you might have some health issues going on yourself, so you don't want to pass it to your baby, and now you got this, like you're over here thinking you're good. And let's be real honest, formula is fucking expensive. They got that shit locked up right next to the Tide Pods. They got formula, Tide Pods, and condoms in a liquor case, right? Those. And I think it's ironic.
Well, and Similac's the only one I've ever heard of. So, I mean, you lose that. Where do you go? Like, was there another alternative?
Well, they got some off brands, right? You can get like I know like some, right? Some grocery stores. I know like Kroger Fries, they got their like organic kind or whatever. I forget the name of the brand, but still, it's like that shit's fucking like $30, $40 a fucking can. Yeah. And if you got 3 of them and you just spent, $200 on it and now it's recalled, what do you fucking do? You're like, oh, okay, so now the baby has. Okay, I know that's right. I know that's right.
Shout out to women that breastfeed because I love some chichi milk.
I know you do. I know you do. Shout out to the chichis to squirt the milk.
So I don't know if you know who this actor is. He recently died. He was in Beverly Hills Cop 2. He was 75.
Man, take off your glasses.
I haven't seen him though. Who is it? This guy?
Fuck that was you, man. You almost got busted. I did get busted. I lost my whole investment because of you. But what the hell is wrong with you, man? You know I'm a businessman.
His name is Frank Pesci. He was in
Top.
He was in the original Beverly Hills Cop. He was the guy that was selling Eddie Murphy cigarettes. So
who was he in Top Gun? That was my question. I'm like,
I don't even know. I looked. I couldn't find the clip. So maybe he was. Maybe it was in the bar scene. I don't know.
Getting to that age, man, where all these people are just passing away. It's like, man, I remember growing up with all these movies and celebrities, and he lived a long life, though. I mean, 75. That's a good run.
Good age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know you guys love this story. Victoria's Secret's model with Down syndrome. A Latina. I'm gonna bring her on.
I love it.
She's so cute.
She following her Instagram, Sophia. I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but there she is, right there.
Yeah, I've been following her story for quite some time. I'm so happy that we're getting out of the norm of what they think beauty is.
Yeah.
And she has such a witty personality too.
She does. She's so lively. And I think it's great because her family's very supportive and close knit with her. Her sister, she just adores her older sister, and she's her like makeup artist. And she's my favorite fashionista, and takes her on photo shoots and just really, helps promote her and get her going, gives her that, she said she gave her that confidence that she needed. And she's such a bright light. I love watching going through her photos and her videos, and she's so she just has this innocence about her that's just so fresh and great. And like you said, I'm so glad that we're getting out of the box, the stigma of this is what's pretty, this is what's beautiful. Everybody's beautiful, and they all have something special and unique about them. And so,
no doubt.
She's great. She really is. She's just
awesome.
fucking adorable.
Victoria's Secret is opening the doors for large women. Now you have somebody with Down syndrome. That is just awesome. Finally, people are not saying, "Hey, you know what? You're a stick model." Unfortunately, they're opening their eyes. So on that note, Kelly Clarkson, your favorite American Idol, she changes her name to a symbol. No, actually, she changed her name. No.
What?
She changed her name to Kelly Brianna. She said it fits better. It explains her.
Really?
Kelly. But you really thought that she changed her name to a symbol?
I don't. Anything's possible nowadays. People are doing all kinds of shit. Nothing really surprises me. I was just curious on why. But I like her. I've always liked her. I really liked her knowing that she was married to Reba McEntire's son. I don't think they're married anymore. I think they ended up getting a divorce, but I don't know. I've always followed her, and I know, right? So, I don't know, I've always followed her. She's got a great vibe. I like that she also, when she first started, they had a lot of people criticizing her about her weight, and they pick her apart, and she's all about body positivity and promoting women and giving women empowerment. So I like that about her.
She must be pretty confident, because I'll say from a branding standpoint, you don't really want to mess with that. But I guess you must feel like, hey, it don't matter. She's got enough of an audience where they'll follow her. So
I know Eddie's a big Howard Stern fan, but Eric, he was just, hi, my name is Kelly Clarkson. That was great.
Shout out to Eric.
Yeah, Eric can be like, Kelly Clarkson. Hi, this is Kelly Clarkson.
He's her biggest fan, right?
Yeah, so she's she's changing her name. That's huge, I think, right?
Well, she waited till he passed away, so we'll give her that.
Did Eric pass away?
Yeah, didn't he die a while back?
I don't even know.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah,
look that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got a huge following, though. She's on all these singing coaching shows, right? And the American Idol stuff and all of that. So I think because she keeps her face, in the limelight, and she's on she had her own show, all these things. I think that's what keeps her relevant. And so she's able to make that trend. What was that?
Listen, I heard you on the show today. How the hell they change your name? How that fight?
That doesn't make any sense.
Are you listening to me, you little? There's only one room for Eric on the show, and that's me.
High pitch, get a brain.
Hey, Eric, I'm sorry, okay?
Yes.
I was trying to find the clip where it says, hi, this is Kelly.
Eric Acker passed away in 2014, man.
Damn, that's been a long time. I didn't even know that. Yeah.
Wow.
So, I know this is a fuckery, but the Rob Kardashian, which is, I know he doesn't see his name too much in the media. You got arrested Kardashians. He has a lawsuit against Black China. So
what?
Yeah, so he says Rob Kardashian has put the end to Gabbard. Cheers the long legal battle with Black China, the former Keeping Up with the Kardashian star, dismissed his assault charges against Black China. I don't remember. She beat the shit out of her or something? What happened?
They should do a pay-per-view fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, she attacked him. He caught those hands.
Oh yeah, definitely. She a hot mess by herself.
She is a hot mess. She got some anger issues.
It's more like mommy issues.
Yeah.
She should get with Kanye.
Very toxic.
She should go with Kanye. Yeah, her mom was a mess, so they're real hood. They're real hood.
Her and Kanye should be in the bushes together, hiding.
I'm just saying.
She's twerking in the bush.
I mean, I don't fault her for branding herself. Like if she wanted to be like the Kardashians and brand and have all that stuff, but she really need therapy, yo. Like she needs counseling because she really sick. And then the crazy thing is that they have this baby, and the baby's caught up in the mix of that. So it's kind of like get some help because Black China and she's a very interesting young lady.
Yeah, and Rob is very like to himself, conservative. He stays back. He's in the, he doesn't like the limelight. I know he's got like a he came up with a sock company, like he's got some really cool socks and stuff like that. But he just he does his own thing. So now he got this crazy bitch wilding out. He's probably like fucking just take the money and go. You crazy bitch.
For real.
Holidays at the Kardashian house must be exciting.
Lit.
All these exes and
everybody's taking family photos, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like
Kanye, Black China.
Ceasefire moment. Ceasefire.
Take a photo.
Let's take a photo real quick.
Make sure everybody's clothes match when you come over too. We all gotta be
the door.
Right, take your guns at the door.
And as soon as
I know we put that in there, but Kanye faces triple battery charges now after allegedly suspended in LA.
Yeah, somebody tried to take a picture.
You think this guy? I had the discussion with Tori. I had the discussion with Narissa. She said, I talked to Narissa, and Narissa goes, she's a big Kanye West fan. She goes, I think he's going to kill her. And I said, I told Tori, I said, I think that he's going to commit suicide. So, Eddie, I know you like Kanye. I liked him when he first started, and then he kind of went off the planet. What do you think is going to happen with this guy? Because this doesn't look like it's going to have a happy ending.
I mean, first of all, it's no joking matter when you talk about like suicide. Because I mean, you can say that, and then the next week it'll happen. I think with Kanye, I think he's talented, man. I've always liked his going back to the beginning. Like the way he came up and the beats and the stuff that he did that was so original and creative and at some point I just feel like we kid about it, but I really think he got like something's triggered or snapped in this guy, and I really feel like he needs some help, man. But it's like, I guess when you're at the level he's at, I don't know how easy that is. I mean, you kind of pull all the strings, you got the right people around you that. This is my perspective. It seems like you can surround yourself with all your yes men, all your friends, all your homies, and there's not a lot of people that have the courage, I think, or I don't know what it is, like just being stand up enough to tell somebody, hey man, you need help when you need help. And then maybe they're afraid to get cut out, or he's a very volatile character, I think, just in general. So I don't know what the answer is, man, but I really do think it's gonna be, if anything is gonna help this guy, he's gonna find a really good therapist or something, man, that's gonna kind of get him on track, because it definitely seems like he's crying for help at some level, like inside or something.
So loud.
It really is. And even when he opened his own church, you thought that was going to, because he's trying to find an outlet.
Yeah.
And and even with that, he had a huge following.
Huge.
Like he opened up his own mega church real quick. Like it didn't take years like everybody else. But like, he really is crying out. We jokingly say, that he really has a lot of condiments missing out of the picnic basket, but it's like, what do we do?
But like Eddie said, even though he had that church, he was still surrounded by yes men, right? He was surrounded by people that told him what he wanted to hear, not what he needed to hear.
Well, he's got
And
that
I
FU
think
money, you know, he can do whatever.
exactly. He got that fuck you money. So it's just like it is what it is. He can do whatever he wants, and he can create his own narrative. And even though he creates this outlet, it's still his own narrative. And there needs to be somebody that, you know, holds the reins. And I think Kim tried, you know, I think she tried not to rock the boat. You know, people can make fun of her all they want, but she's a strong person. She's a very calculated person, and she's very smart. And there's things that he did that she could have destroyed him by just not being supportive. But I think she's handling with him with white gloves, because she knows, because of her children, he's a ticking time bomb. He has a lot of mental trauma, you know, things inside him that at any moment. And so I told Drayke the other day, you know, everybody, they stopped following him. The whole Kardashian family stopped following him on Instagram. And when you're a celebrity, that's a big deal, right? The only person who didn't was Chris. And I think Chris could maybe get to him, maybe. I think out of everybody, maybe Chris would be the one to be able to sit him down and say, listen, let's talk about this. Let's get you help. Let's do this. Maybe I'm wrong, but out of all of them, I see her. She's like a matriarch, right? So I feel like maybe she could help. I don't know. I just don't. We joke about it, but that's the last thing you don't want that to happen.
I predict Pete Davidson is going to come to his rescue.
Oh shit!
I got this video.
Oh shit!
Yeah, would be some interesting stuff.
Would it though? I mean, hey, if that happens, man, that would be the shit.
I got this video from Caitlyn Jenner. This would happen at last Christmas, with all the celebrities there.
Oh, yeah, this is a scene.
Times are different from when you and I was out here doing our thing. About 4 or 5
He's Bernie Mac.
What is your line of business?
Unemployment line.
I'm a painter. I'm an artist.
Oh, really? From what school? Jacob Lawrence, Bearden?
Kitchen walls and sinks and shit like that.
Wait a minute, Mommy. You're being unfair.
We worked hard
to get where we are today.
I bet you had the whole lot of rabbits just to make ends meet.
I beg your pardon.
I knew. Damn it, the hell I knew your face. Man, back in the day, your wife was something the meanest. Well, I know you're a lucky man.
You scum-sucking son of a bitch! That's my wife you talking about.
So that's what happens at the Kardashian house. Everybody's a hug.
Wow.
Thanksgiving at the
Big
Kardashian.
cluster.
Yeah.
I knew you. I knew you.
Slavery.
Somebody pass the biscuit. Somebody pass the biscuit.
Oh, that's so funny.
I knew you.
So, insurrection, we just had the anniversary not too long ago. They denied the logs, Ed, and you read it. So the Supreme Court here, Biden's amendment appeal to end the Trump era, remaining in Mexico policy. What's your thoughts of them ending the Trump? They just firing up Trump now, so they fucking with him. So what's your thoughts, Eddie? They're gonna
remaining the policy. Remind me what this was when they said that they didn't want anybody coming in.
Yeah, that's basically
stay home and don't make your way up here.
I just brought up the insurrection because they.
I mean, look,
you know,
here's my feeling about immigration in general, man. Like, I don't think any of us, and I mean, I'm sure there's very few people who don't have some immigration from somewhere in the world in their family tree, like, you know, either a mother, father, grandparents. We're all from somewhere, so I mean, good riddance to that policy. I think, you know, we can't close the border. That the border's, you know, shutting down completely like that is just not the answer. I don't know what the answer is, so I guess I'm not much help, but I think that, you know, good riddance to that policy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My grandmother used to say she was from Texas, right? But I said, where were you born, Grandma? She said, Mexico. I said, Grandma, you're from Texas. She goes, no, yeah, I was from Mexico. She goes, the last time I checked, when my grandmother was born, this was part of Mexico. I didn't cross the border. The border crossed me. So there you go. So everybody from Texas, they just said, "Oh, hey, you're part of the United States now." Oh, okay, I guess. Okay. So, and staying in politics, 3 million people, more kids are in poverty without monthly checks, child tax credit. Michelle, do you think this is affecting people as big as they say? Because they want to extend it because it's saying it's affecting blacks, Latinos, because they're not getting that advance credit. It's $250 a kid, but a lot of people are surprised when they're going to file their taxes. They're like, "Hey, you already got that money." So, is it affecting more people than what I'm thinking it's affecting?
I don't think so, because even before the child tax credit was here, our economy was already bad. Poverty was at its high, unemployment was at its high, and at the end of the day, it's cool that, if you want to get that check, but I think with the bigger picture that people are really missing is that we're going to pay for that in our taxes, because nothing is free.
It's an advance.
You know what I'm saying? And so at the end of the day, how are you making it work without that $250 coming in?
Right.
So it appalls me, because like when I do hear that, even with the unemployment situation before it got cut off on September 15th, everybody was like, "Well, what are we going to do?" Well, you get a job. You know what I'm saying? And it's
Right.
So when I hear it, even when I did my taxes, and I got the advancement, but at the end of the day, she was like, this is your amount. And I was like, that's cool, because at the end of the day, it served its purpose, and let's move on, because the taxes is not going to affect the upper class. It's going to affect the upper medium class and the lower class at the end of the day, when we're paying high for more of just our groceries, clothing, it's. So inflation. I don't think that
inflation of
we need to
living.
give people any more money. I think if that's the case, then why don't you work on the budget of applying and let people get approved for food stamps? How about that?
Well, yeah, let's see them get some food out there like they did these vaccines. That would be cool. I'd love to see, find a way, get creative and get food into people's houses, because
because if they could up the low income ratio to where a household of 4 who makes $45,000-$56,000 a year can actually get approved for food stamps. Bam, there's your stimulus. You got food. That's what you're complaining about, that you need food. So now we're going to give you food for 6 months, and then after that, it's a reassessment time. But I don't really think they need to give out any more money, to be honest with you.
Well, I think a lot of people have missed that, right, Eddie? Advance, right? It's advanced child credit. Right.
No, everybody, you get a check in the mail, everybody thinks, "Oh, free money," but they don't really care about where it came from or what it actually is,
Right. So we'll jump. This is the last story that I wanted to talk about. So Harris says U.S. stands with Ukraine. I know I was watching Bill Maher last night.
I haven't watched it
yet. The Ukraine problem. What is your thoughts, Ed? I know that we are standing by, but Biden he keeps saying they're going to, Russia's going to invade. Russia's going to invade every day. Do you think more of it? I know when I was watching this show, they said it's more of a media thing. They're getting people hype and scared and all that. Do you think Russia is actually going to invade Ukraine? I know your brother is over in that area, and I know we were talking, and we're like, man, I wouldn't be traveling, but. You think that's going to happen?
So I don't know, but at this point, with all the hype, it almost has to. I feel like they've been hyping it like every day, every week.
Every day.
It's happening tomorrow. So I almost think that the way that they've been putting it out there, they're almost pushing Putin to do something. Because right now, if you're Putin and knowing what we know about, this is somebody who's former KGB. This is somebody who's got a really big ego, a lot of people that he needs to try to sway to follow his lead. And now what's he going to do? Step down? He's not going to step down.
Right.
They've been hyping this like it's happening tomorrow. It's happening tomorrow, preparing us and getting everybody fired up.
Right,
So I
they're
feel like
punking
there's a
them,
little bit
yeah.
of coaxing there. I feel like they're trying to push this in a direction. And it makes me wonder, I'll be honest, man, I kind of started out seeing the perspective that from a world politics level that, okay, what's this country, Ukraine? Not a whole lot of people even know anything about. Why is this important to us? Why is it important to Russia? Russia just wants to expand. So for them, it's just more land, it's more resources. It's a way for them to take over a nearby country and grow. For the U.S. and the rest of the world, it's a question of, okay, do we, get involved in this? Do we go in and stop this from happening? Do we protect these people who don't really want to be? I mean, they're culturally, it's the same people. The people in Ukraine and the people in Russia, they're almost like it's like a civil war, situation where you're not talking about enemies, you're talking about relatives, so it's a crazy situation, but it makes me wonder, and not to get on the conspiracy level, but it feels like, with everything going on in the world, this sort of crept up from the background, and now suddenly it's in the forefront, and it's all we're talking about. And the one thing that's interesting about the last 4 years, as much as we might not ride for Trump and the way things went, we weren't involved in any wars, and now suddenly they're bringing this machine back up, they're firing it back up, and now we're getting ready to go into a conflict. So I feel like everybody needs to stay awake and really pay attention to where things are connecting and why we're going in certain directions, because there's probably going to be something behind this. I mean, and talk to go into what we were just talking about, where we want to get resources dedicated to help poverty and help all these situations, and now we're talking about going into a war. There won't be resources for all these programs and things that we're talking about. They're going to tighten the purses, they're going to tighten the reins, and they're going to use this as an excuse because we got this conflict, and now so that worries me a little bit. I feel like we're just getting to a point where things were getting back on track. The pandemic is effed everything up, and I worry about suddenly getting into a conflict all of a sudden out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere.
I just don't think we have the resources
said.
to even get involved. So, I just hope that Putin maybe stands down and just
I think they're making it really hard for him to do that.
It's hard for him to do that, especially with the ego he has. He's not that guy. He's not that guy.
So, I don't know if you've been paying attention, but Abraham Lincoln has a 3-day special.
I want to see this.
The History Channel.
I want to see that.
I made this for you, Black History Month. This looks really good. I know they talked about this on Bill Maher, but I got it on my DVR. So if you don't subscribe to the History Channel, maybe subscribe to it. But this looks really, really, really good.
I'm pleased to introduce to you an eminent citizen of the West. I ask all of you to listen to him with your profoundest attention. Welcome, Mr. Abraham Lincoln of Illinois.
They saw slavery up close. Lincoln was outraged by this.
It's going to be a big argument in this country, Judge. I intend to be ready for it.
The split between the North and the South goes deeper and deeper.
I tried to take that piece of mind.
The country is breaking apart. There's a turning point where he's going to have to take a stand.
We can attack immediately.
Lincoln is thinking this is the time to end slavery.
This nation shall have a new birth of freedom and government of the people, by the people, and for the people. Shall not perish from the earth.
So this is a 3-night event. I can't wait. It starts this Sunday.
Well, and not to change the topic, there's another show on Apple Plus called Lincoln's Dilemma, which is interesting because I guess all this is happening because we got President's Day coming up. But that one, I just saw Jeffrey Wright, who's the narrator for it. I love him as an actor. It looks really interesting too. So I mean, that's on Apple. But the stories that are coming out, from history that just did never learned, like they don't really talk about it. Some interesting subject material in both shows, I think.
Yeah, there's always been a uniqueness about the history with Abraham Lincoln. There's so many different components to it, to the time where his life was ended. But yeah, Abraham is one of our presidents that kind of made a shift for a lot of things at that time.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this.
Me too.
I got goosebumps watching it.
I know. For 3 days.
Right.
they talked about it last night, and I was like, "Oh man, I can't wait!" I
think we're unique because now, as you can see,
taped it or recorded or DVR'd it or whatever. I always say tape, but I'm like, hey, I can't wait to see it. So
but check out that other one too, Lincoln's Dilemma, because that interview that I watched with Jeffrey Wright, man, this one that you just played looks more like a portrayal, but this is a docu series on Apple, and it was interesting because he was talking about some stuff I'd never even heard of. I mean, it was the little known facts from history, and he goes into some detail about things that I thought were really interesting.
Oh wow, yeah,
that's really cool. Here's the extended version of the Abraham Lincoln. Here it is.
And I looked, and behold, was death. Saying, "Come and see."
Crazy, man. This was the director's cut, right?
Yeah.
Vampires.
So that is, if you guys mixed it up, that is Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. I just want.
I've seen that.
I thought that was great. I really like that movie. I just got to be honest with you. I know that Abraham was not a vampire hunter, but there you go. So
I didn't get to bring it up when we had Gabriel on, but I remember this around the time Prince got involved with George Clinton, they had "Paint the White House Black." That was a great song, man.
Yes. Yes. Oh, you took me back with that one. Yeah.
That's all I got. Eddie, I know Ed does, and I know he doesn't do much promotion, but I want to give him a chance. Ed does graphics. Ed, how do they find you? If Kanye wants some graphics, how do they find you, man?
That's a good question, man. I guess, hit me up probably on my email would be the best. Just smackgraphics@gmail.com, SMAK graphics.
Eddie does all
one of these days I'll get the website going again.
Yeah, Eddie does all the graphics, all the shows. So, man, much love.
Thanks.
Thank you for doing all the work you do.
I try to stay away from social media. So
many things. You're the shit, Eddie.
Eddie does from the calendar to the flyers, even to Alex C's logo. So there you go.
Yeah, you're the shit.
Thank you.
You the man. You the man.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You can follow Eddie at your Gmail. Eddie, do you want to give your Gmail out if somebody wants graphics?
Yeah, just smackgraphics@gmail. I think probably be the best. Hit me up on that, and because one of these days I'll get something a little bit more global, like social media page or something. But I've got them, but I just don't. I don't pay enough attention to that.
So humble, Eddie. You're so humble.
So contact me there, and I'll see it.
Today, I know it's your Saturday. You probably got so much things to do, so I appreciate you coming on, man.
Oh, thanks for having me, man. This was fun.
I wanted to bring him on because he's definitely a big Funkadelic fan.
Oh man, I'm just glad I didn't lose my shit and take over the whole thing trying to ask him questions. I just
super fan.
It's a lot of self-restraint for me to sit there and just tune in and listen because I had so many things I wanted to talk about. But I'll have to have him back on again.
He's for sure coming back. He's definitely coming back.
He's got stories galore. So, Eddie, thanks for coming out, man. I appreciate it. Where can they follow you, Tori, if they need to follow you?
If they need to follow me, they can find me at Tori Rochelle on Facebook, at All Beauty All Beast on Instagram, The Savage Kitty, that's THEE Savage Kitty on Twitter, and Tori Smooches on Snapchat.
How about you, Michelle?
And if you want to sprinkle me with some love, Tori Rochelle 1111 on Cash App.
There you go.
I like that little.
Where can they find you? Are they outside in a bush following you?
Man, you know what? You never know these days.
Right?
You never know.
I just be looking out my window, looking see shadows. But if they really want to find me, they can see me at ShellVon17 at Instagram. You can find me there, and it's also Shell on Snapchat. So
okay, there you go. You can follow me everywhere. At all platforms. Make sure you guys are always washing your hands, wearing a mask, and washing your ass. I'm out.
Word.
Word.